ladies and gentlemen. Vagran Gaming here, and so there's been a couple of things that have changed recently. One of the first things is that I put in an application to the guild Remnants of Hope, which is the guild that first caught my attention because my buddy Zulthan there, and I'm in the middle of applying, and this match was one of my test runs with the guild, and I'm excited about it because there's a lot of cool people in the guild, and I have the chance to team up with my buddy Zulthans more often, which is always exciting. A while ago I did a comedy video to plug his channel where got my hands on some leaked footage of him playing with a hot mic. That was fun. So you should check that out. Probably throw a link to that because that video was hilarious. And yeah, so now like we'll potentially be able to team up all the time, which is super exciting. For a little while, I didn't really have anybody to team up with as things in the Republic got more and more quiet. And it was nice because I logged on, I think it was Friday night? No, Friday evening. I logged in and there was like almost 20 people on there, including me, which was pretty exciting. So I think my application process so far is going decent. It helps that a couple of the members already knew me. A couple of them were new from YouTube. So one of the officers, I put my application in, and one of the officers, turns out he was actually watching one of my videos when he got the notification. He was like, oh, how about that? So that was pretty cool. So yeah, hopefully in the near future I'll be a full-fledged member, and what that means is I'll have a regular PvP group. And that means I'll probably be back into uploading videos weekly, because for a while it's just been tough to find groups, and it kind of lowered my interest in playing. I used to log in like multiple times a week, run some Warzones, have some fun, and then when things started fizzling out, it was just harder and harder to find groups, and I really enjoy grouping up with guildmates and running Warzones. Like, it's a lot of fun, and with that being on the back foot, with that not happening as much, yeah, I wasn't as enthusiastic about playing. So here's hoping this works out, because from what I've seen so far, pretty much everybody in the guild is really cool. Like, they're just a chill group of people. No drama, which I'm allergic to. I have a severe drama allergy. That's been keeping me out of for the past couple of years. I mean, it's pretty rare I get myself into any nonsense, and a big part of that is the players attempt to run this. So I'm optimistic. I'm openly optimistic. Sometimes people are cautiously optimistic. I'm just flat out optimistic. So here's hoping. So anyway, as far as this match goes, my plan was to focus fire off of Zulthans, or in his character Zulthan. I'm probably going to be jumping back and forth between those names. We got separated at various points in time, and because I haven't been playing regularly that while, I was a little rusty, so I wasn't as on top of objectives like I usually am. Normally, like, people call out, I see it almost immediately, and here I was just fumbling trying to keep up, especially since Zulthan there is one of the baddest Sentinels I know. Let's just pretend that menu didn't open up, because I totally didn't hit the wrong hotkey by mistake. So anyway, he is one of the best Sentinels that I know, and actually I started playing Sentinel regularly in part because I was watching one of his videos. He does a lot of stuff on his YouTube channel with the Concentration Sentinel and a Focused Guardian, and I had a lot of fun watching him. I thought, you know what? Dropping those big crits all the time, it looks like fun. I ran with a Watchman Sentinel for a very long time because that was a spec I was a little bit more familiar with. Way back in the day, I leveled up. I'm not sure the Imperial equivalent. I think it's Fury, but I'm not positive. It probably isn't. But I leveled up a Fury Marauder Imp side, and one of the things I thought was cool about it was at the time the self-healing was pretty tuned up, and I could solo certain Heroic 4 missions. Like, it would take me a couple of tries, I would get knocked out 2-3 times, but I'd make progress, like, and I would be able to solo Heroic 4s, which I'm not sure how many people go around soloing Heroic 4s. I never really put that much time into trying to do it, and this is well before you can max out your Companion's Affection. as far as their battle effectiveness. So like your companion were only as effective as the gear you put on them. So with a limitedly geared companion, I was going through Alderaan solo in Heroic 4s, and like I thought that was amazing. So like that was the spec I was more familiar with. So when I started to try to get back into seriously playing a Sentinel and like being functional on it, I went right to Watchman. But then after watching all those videos from Zulthan, I was like, you know, I gotta try this out because it looks like a lot of fun. There's nothing like priming up all your abilities and hitting those big crits. Like there was a big crit. That was nice. So obviously I'm not going to do as well as Zulthan. He's been at this way longer, and I've been using him kind of as a model. But it was still a lot of fun to team up with him. So there'll hopefully be a lot more of this. And another member that's in here with us is Hype, or that might be pronounced Hippie. I know him as Hippie from his identification on the guild forums and whatnot, but he plays a couple of different classes. I think in this match he's on his Scoundrel. He was finishing up his weekly, and then he runs as a healer as well, a Sage healer. And that's also fun because I still really enjoy tanking, and I haven't actually done any tanking gameplay in a while. So hopefully soon, when Hippie, ooh, that was a nice 20k crit. Hopefully soon Hippie will jump back on his Sage healer. I'll grab one of my tanks, and well, we'll see if I still have the chops for tanking. Admittedly, it's been a little bit, so I'm not 100% sure what those first couple matches are going to be like, but I'm sure it'll be fine. I'll just need a couple of wars, I'll shake the rust off, and then the whole thing with guard swapping will hopefully start to come back. Although, to be honest, guard swapping has never been my strong suit. It's one of those things that I'm just constantly working on. So, in this match, to get back to the action a little bit, I'm still getting used to lining up all my abilities without staring at my hotbar. Like, I'll hit a training dummy, and I'll throw some things around. Here I am, horribly failing at trying to get that ledge before that chug lands on me. But like, ideally, you don't want to be playing any part of the game where you're staring at your hotbar, especially in a Warzone, because you're going to be missing a lot. Like if someone needs to be healed, like your healer's in a lot of trouble and they need someone to throw a stun to give them some room. An enemy healer is almost down and you want to help finish them off. And stuff like that you'll miss if you're staring at your key bar. So, I'm getting a little better, but there were a few times here and there where I would get stuck. And I'd go to tap something that was on cooldown, and I realized that I messed up, and then I'd be staring at my hotbar for a little bit trying to sort it out. It didn't happen that much, and it's one of those things where practice makes perfect. At least, that's how it is for me when I'm trying to really get down a new stance. Like if I was playing Watchmen, I'd probably just be rifling through all my abilities, spreading my dots, and doing all that good stuff without even thinking about it. But here, I'm not that fluid. But, you know, I'm doing okay. Not the greatest, but I'm doing alright. We had that sword killer March Flame, and just force of habit, I tend to try to park on a healer. And I would have probably been better off simply focus targeting off of Zulthan, because he's so good at lining up his bursts that if I was assisting him, by the time he hit his burst window, we could probably be like really crippling to close. But instead, I'm like, ooh, a healer, and I pretty much forgot everything else in this, which wasn't the greatest strategy, but we made it work, because Zulthan's really adaptable. So, we've got a good edge so far. The score is approximately 273, 608, so we're doing alright. Alright, they just capped a node, but we've still got a decent lead. And I think coming up shortly, take my eye off the ball, and, well, not just me, a bunch of us take our eye off the ball, and it costs us a little bit. But we've got a really good team, so thinking that if we do mess up, we'll be able to recover. And the other thing there is something else I'm trying to get better use out of is using awe. I'm never quite sure when's the best time to use it, and I tend not to use it very often. And in this Warzone, there was a couple of times where I saw opportunities to hit 2 or 3 people. And one of the ways I like to use it when I am paying attention is, say there's let's say you've got 2 or 3 opponents and one of them's a healer. What I like to do is throw the awe just to stop everyone else and then go right back onto focusing the healer. And that way I'll get those 6 seconds of hopefully them not being able to heal from the healer. Doesn't always work, but when it does, it's glorious. So now we're pushing in towards their node, and this was partially where we ran into some issues. Normally I'd never overextend like this, but as you can see I've got some healing coming at me. Okay, Hippie is on his stage. I thought he was on his Scoundrel for some reason. But anyway, we've got healing backing us up, and right there is when I noticed we lost the node. So someone had called out like 2 or 3 times. It looks like someone else went in to help. They may not have gotten there in time, and we lost the node. So now, the score is about 503 to 436. And we went from having a decent lead to being on the back foot because we overextended. Now, if we had pushed in and were more organized about it and we took the node, that would have been one thing. And as you can tell, I tried to cap with a second left on the clock, which is not going to work. So, I was a little out of it there. Hopefully, that'll be some of the stuff that gets better as I get more used to playing again, where I'm not taking my eye off the ball, paying attention to callouts and whatnot. And that was a little scary, or at least a little humorous. Zulthan was stunned like right at the border of the blast wall, and we weren't sure if he was going to make it. Fortunately, he did, and I was right with the door. Alright, not a bad 14k crit. So now, we're going to, excuse me, we're pushing in towards their pylon, and since we're behind, what we were hoping we'd be able to do is stall them at theirs, and hopefully we'll cap ours, and that'll help us even up the score. And fortunately, there was more than one of us there because I got stunned and I was out of reach. But Zulthans was able to make the ace save and prevent buds our hugs from capping the pylon. So now we've got a, see, it looks like this 4-on-3. I'm trying to count really quickly, and I might be messing it up. And fortunately, that person that's here with us is a healer, because otherwise, even though like Zulthan's really good with using his defenses to maintain the survivability, and I tend to blow through them very quickly while hoping to stay near the node. Like there was a Civil War we ran together where like if he was almost dead, he'd wind up like kiting away, ducking behind underneath the stairs in the Civil War in that center node, and I'm trying to prevent them from capping. So I just stayed there out in the open, and I got wrecked so many times. But when like I'm focused on an objective, I tend to focus on preventing caps as long as possible over surviving. Which cutting it like splitting the difference might be overall better. Like wait till you get your dual saber throw, use that to stop a cap, hide, wait a few minutes, then pop back out. That might be better than just leaping out and hitting force sweep and then swinging my lightsabers around, just hoping to prevent them from capping for as long as possible if they're spam capping. Because it does take, I believe it's about 8 seconds. So I tried to swing my lightsabers around hoping to get a couple of them, and it looks like I missed. But Zulthans was there and caught the guys that I didn't hit with an awe. And we've got a few more seconds. I believe it's a 6 seconds or an 8-second cap on this Warzone. So we're really close to being able to lock them out. Cap Zulthans right on him. I see him as well. I'm getting shot to pieces, but we've got 2 awesome healers, and we did it. Time's up, which is fantastic. So now we're back in the lead, about 7:35 to 5:03. Those pylons are about to light it up, and almost a photo finish. Trying to get back to mid with all those people on my tail. So my damage wasn't the greatest, but overall that was a decent match for me, considering that concentration isn't one of my strongest disciplines. But you know, coming in second behind Zulthans is no bad thing. So I hope you guys enjoyed the match.